Now we're going to go to a couple articles here from Natural News. Mike Adams was here doing the show yesterday, and when he left, I said, hey, I read this article. It's called Rawesome Bombshell, Lab Test Evidence Against Sharon Palmer Found Invalid. And Mike goes, yeah, there's a whole bunch to this story. You're not going to believe it. And I said, well, tell me. And he went on this long tale, and I'm going to try to bring it up to you in a nutshell. Apparently, there's the allegation that Sharon Palmer's chickens contain toxic levels of arsenic. And this was brought out a website called unhealthyfamilyfarms.org. And they're based on these tests that they did from some chickens. Well, when Adams looked at the tests, there's the website there, Unhealthy Family Farms, and it's run by a man named Aajonus Vonderplanitz. Mike did some more investigation. And here in this article, it's 9 pages long, there's a section, Bombshell Findings of Our Investigation About the Lab Tests Claiming to Show Sharon Palmer's Chickens Had High Levels of Contaminants. Finding 1, Aajonus Vonderplanitz never tested Sharon Palmer's chickens. Instead, he relied on tests that were undertaken by a woman named Tamara Hansen. Tamara Hansen is not a doctor. Doctors Data Inc., the lab we were told conducted these lab tests, told me on the record during an investigative interview that we only conduct tests for doctors or physicians. They do not allow members of the general public to even order tests. This brings up the question of how Tamara Hansen, who was able to order a test on raw chicken without the intervention of a doctor or a physician. Finding 3, the doctor's data lab test publicized by Aajonus Vonderplanitz and Larry Ottning, he's another person in this whole web of scheming, do not state anywhere on the test that the chickens came from Healthy Family Farms or Sharon Palmer. The origin of the chicken that was tested is a complete mystery. The test only says raw chicken, which could mean any raw chicken sourced from anywhere. There is no reliable evidence linking the published test to Healthy Family Farms. So what does this mean? Well, basically, Aajonus Vonderplanitz has been a source of information to the Ventura County authorities, and he's been telling them that Sharon's running a bad farm. He's got test results, and he's going up there with his PhD credentials telling them this, saying, I'm a PhD in nutrition. I got it from this esteemed Richmond's University, and there's his diploma there. We'll get more into that. So they've been rating year after year Sharon Palmer based on these fake tests, or tests that can't be proven that the test came from her chickens. So they're raiding her farm. She's not able to then repay her investors. So now the authorities are coming after her on the fact that she lied to investors and that she's defrauding them. And so that whole case is based on her ability not to pay them back because she's being attacked by 2 people, Aajonus Vonderplanitz and then Larry Ottning, who actually owns the title to the land where her farm is. Are you catching on with this? It's getting a little weird. So that was the first article that came out yesterday. It's really long, but you should take some time. There's a statement in there from Sharon Palmer about how she's been attacked for the last 5 years by these 2 individuals, and she doesn't understand why it's happening. Now, there was a mediation agreement, and Larry Ottning actually was told to take down the Unhealthy Family Farms website as a result of that. But what did he do? He just changed the name. He actually transferred the title of the website over to Aajonus Vonderplanitz, because you can see there's the GoDaddy.com, who is registration, and you can see it's registered to Aajonus Vonderplanitz, unhealthyfamilyfarms.com. I think I said .org earlier, but it's unhealthyfamilyfarm.com. Now today, after more investigation, and Mike Adams, who's coming up really soon, he can conclude that Aajonus Vonderplanitz, PhD, key informant in prosecution of Sharon Palmer and James Stewart. James Stewart's the owner of Rawesome Foods, was found to have fake credentials. And so he started looking into this. He actually talked to Mr. Vonderplanitz over the phone, and he said he's got a degree from Richmond University. Mike called Richmond University and asked him. He said no. They said no such information exists. Well, it turns out it's Richmond's University, and we've got that graphic. We're going to show you that right now. There's his, and they got a tip from another source of a guy named, go back to that, it's going to run into that graphic, a guy named Roy Williams. He also has, Roy David Williams has the same degree from the same university. Now we're going to put them side by side, and you can see that they have the same crest, they have the same font, basically the same formatting, And here's a little bit from Richmond's University. Let's go to that graphic. The enclosed diploma was designed to be virtually indistinguishable from most diplomas of major universities. Your sample diploma has been printed exactly as you instructed. Please inspect your diploma carefully. If there are any errors, email us immediately. And then it goes on to, they'll provide letters of recommendation, verification. They have a website. They have a fax number where you could get transcripts and letters of recommendation from professors. So all this is done basically by you call them up. They go over some background. Oh, I've studied this. I've studied nutrition for this many years. All right, you qualify for the doctorate. Just pay us, $2,000 or so, and we'll provide you all these sources and all this background information so you could go out and get a job under this fake PhD claim. So basically, we have Aajonus Vonderplanitz, and I haven't even got to the good stuff yet, going around as a PhD with his degree from Richmond's University, which is basically a pay degree. You pay for it and you get it. But now it gets really weird. Now I'm going to show you a little video of Aajonus Vonderplanitz from 2010, I believe. And he was featured on a show called Ripley's Believe It or Not, and he actually is a eater and a spewer of information about eating rancid food. So here's that video clip.
What would you do if you went to the fridge for a snack and saw this? If you're Aajonus Vonderplanitz, you grab a fork and dig right in. Believe it or not, he's been eating the foulest food he can find for the last 3 decades. In fact, the meat he eats every day is intentionally rotted for over a year.
So why does all this matter? Well, you have this guy running around claiming to be a PhD, informing authorities that he's got test results against chickens, going after a lady who's trying to be a family farm owner and sell her goats and chickens and milk to Rawesome Foods. That's why he got busted, because he was selling her stuff. Well, this is from the article written by Mike Adams. But perhaps the most disturbing realization in all this is that Aajonus' illegitimate academic credentials will no doubt be cited by states across the country which seek to criminalize nutritional consultation services and require state licensing for all nutritionists. This has already been attempted in North Carolina, where nutrition blogger Steve Cooksey was threatened by the state with jail time for urging people to eat specific foods for diabetes. So that's just one of the smoking guns. Plus you have this whole vetting of your sources. And it seems like our government and people in the government are not able to vet their sources very well. We've got FBI informants out there getting people caught up in stings. Nobody's ever vetting these people. The press barely does it. And then you've got these guys who seem to be, they have something in for the raw milk industry or just healthy eating in general. And they're not interested in that, or at least that seems to be the antithesis here, looking at all this information. There's 2 real long articles. The first one is entitled Rawesome Bombshell, Lab Test Evidence Against Sharon Palmer Found Invalid, Allegations Unsupportable. And the second one, Aajonus Vonderplanitz, PhD, Key Informant in Prosecution of Sharon Palmer and James Stewart, found to have fake academic credentials. And let's just go. What happens when you go to richmondsuniversity.net, the website that they had on their little form for their diplomas? Oh, look where it goes. It goes to one of those places that it just kind of customizes your search into some weird form. And with more on this completely weird case of the rotten food eater who's gotten himself involved in the raw milk industry, I turn now to Natural News editor, contributor, and host of Sometimes the Alex Jones Show. It's Mike Adams. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, Rob. I'm doing great. Good to be with you tonight, man.
All right, so why don't you bring everybody up to date? What happened at Rawesome Foods? They had a raid. How is Sharon Palmer involved? And then, bring us up to date with your 2 articles that you wrote the last couple days.
Sure, you bet. Rawesome Foods was founded by James Stewart, and we know he was thrown in jail and a lot of bad things happened to him. But he was selling chicken and eggs from a farm called Healthy Family Farms, run by a woman named Sharon Palmer. She was also raided twice by Ventura County, arrested, charged with selling unpasteurized goat cheese and goat milk and things like that. But then later on, in 2010, she was attacked by 2 individuals, Aajonus Vonderplanitz, the one you referred to there, and another man named Larry Otting, who's actually the title owner of the land on which her farm operates. Now, these 2 individuals put out some test results that they said showed Sharon's chickens to be contaminated with arsenic, and her eggs contaminated with mercury and so on. Well, we did an investigation on this because this destroyed her business. This actually put her out of business and made it so she couldn't repay investors, which then caused Ventura County to charge her with multiple felony financial crimes of being unable to repay investors. So this is all intertwined. Anyway, we did an investigation, Rob, and we found out that the so-called test data that's supposed to link Sharon's chickens to mercury and arsenic is completely invalid. It doesn't even mention that it's tested on her chickens. There's no chain of custody. The person who gathered the sample has no lab training. It's completely inadmissible. It'd be thrown out of court in a minute. But then we did some more research, and we found out that Aajonus Vonderplanitz, PhD, who is sort of the founder of what's called a Primal Diet, which advocates eating rotten meat and molded animal organs and raw, rotten bone marrow and things like that.
The stuff that Mom used to make, right?
No, the stuff that Mom used to throw out.
Yeah, exactly.
When it sat in the freezer for long enough or whatever. But anyway, I mean, I'm not knocking. This is not a segment about their diet. Obviously, right. That would gross me out. But some people, swear by it. Whatever. That's their deal. They call it high meat. I mean, whatever. I don't get that. But the thing is, his academic credentials turned out to be falsified. He doesn't have a PhD, not a real one anyway. It was acquired from an online diploma mill that was used by other people, a fake nuclear engineer, for example, who was prosecuted by the Department of Justice. We found another guy who blew the whistle. He sent us all the documents showing the fake transcripts that you get when you buy these diplomas online. You get your fake PhD, your fake transcripts. You even get fake letters of recommendation from professors and from the school talking about what a great person you are. And you get a fake verification number that you can give to your employer to fax them and try to verify your academic history.
And we're showing those on screen right now. We have Aajonus Vonderplanitz. Back that up a little bit. And I think it's Roy Williams, or Roy David Williams. Yeah, we got them both side by side. They have the same crest, same Richmond's University instead of Richmond University. And then there's a sheet that comes from Richmond's that tells you, this is all the stuff we give you. Here's the diploma. Here's the transcripts. Here's the recommendation letters. If you call in, use your student ID number.
Right.
Really weird stuff that's going on.
Well, and we did a lot of additional research. But let me tell you why this matters. Why is this relevant? I called Chris Harmon, the Ventura County prosecutor handling this case. I called him on the phone yesterday, and I confirmed with him on the phone that, yes, he met with Aajonus Vonderplanitz, that Aajonus and Larry Otting have met multiple times with Ventura County DA and LA County officials and gave them information that was then followed by the prosecution of Sharon Palmer and James Stewart. So that's why I call them informants. So now this informant has been academically discredited, and it goes back to the prosecutors to ask, are they conducting due diligence? Where are they getting their information from? Why are they charging Sharon Palmer with these raw milk crimes when the very people that they're getting information from are themselves discredited? That's the bigger question here. And that's why we've covered this issue.
Well, I think it's a big issue because it goes back, this could go to so many different levels. You've got a guy that can then be discredited as a nutritionist, which can then be used to attack nutritionists all over the country, which we're seeing. It could also be used to, the vetting of informants. The vetting, that's a big deal. You're getting informants that are accusing people of terrorism all over the place. They're helping the terrorists, bomb bridges in Ohio. And we're not really looking into these informants. We're just trusting that the people working with these informants have done their due diligence. And in this case, it doesn't appear that they've done that.
Let me tell you what I think has really gone down here, the inside story. And I do have some evidence of this, but not enough yet to prove it. So this part of this is conjecture. But I believe the FDA contacted Ventura and LA counties, gave them money and said, go after Sharon Palmer and James Stewart, do anything you have to prosecute these people and throw them in jail. With that motivation behind them, the political motivation, I believe that these district attorneys' offices then gathered evidence from anybody and everybody. They didn't care where it came from, what their credibility was, whether it made any sense at all. They just grasped at straws to try to find some reason to prosecute Sharon Palmer and throw her in prison. Now, the question remains right now, what will happen now that this information has gone public? Will Sharon Palmer and James Stewart be vindicated? Will charges be dropped against them? Because now a defense attorney, a competent defense attorney, could tear this case apart in a court of law. And there's more information coming out on this, and this is breaking, Rob. We have already received evidence that we believe will show that Los Angeles County investigators and prosecutors have committed felony crimes and knowingly conspired to take away James Stewart's rights and falsely accuse him of crimes that he did not commit. That information is going to come out very soon on Natural News and hopefully, of course, InfoWars.com once we can get it all documented.
This is amazing. This can turn to be a huge case, one, a big victory for the raw milk industry and for people who want food freedom. And hopefully we can use this to go after these types of individuals and government organizations who are just trying to go after people politically with no real motivation. They're not really out there concerned about the best interests of people. They're more concerned with just stopping this, raw milk thing that they don't like.
Well, that's the other angle here, Rob. This is the fascinating angle. Think about how many millions of dollars have been spent going after Sharon Palmer and James Stewart. Meanwhile, if you go to the grocery store, there's cancer-causing chemicals in the hot dogs, in the bacon, in the diet soda. There's fluoride in the water. There's armed gangs running loose throughout the counties. They're just murdering people on the streets. So why do they think that a woman raising goats is a threat to public health, so much so that they got to spend millions of dollars going after her and allying themselves with people who've been exposed as having faked their academic credentials? I mean, seriously, is this what Ventura County and LA County prosecutors have come to? Just their own, basically, criminal gang.
This is out of control. When you talked to the prosecutor, did he make any, did you get the feeling that he knew he was in the wrong at this point, or is he still going to go forward with this case?
No, he said to me that based on his investigation, he said Sharon Palmer lied to investors, and that's a crime. And I replied to him and said, but wait a minute. If her revenues hadn't been destroyed by these attacks based on completely inadmissible lab tests, she would have been able to repay investors. Thus, there would be no crime. I said, if she had been able to repay investors, there wouldn't be a prosecution, would there? And he told me on the record, I don't know, I can't say. Those were his exact words.
They never want to admit they're wrong. That's one thing I know. Anytime you get a government guy into a corner, they will do anything they can not to admit their wrongdoing. That much. I've seen it. I've read it. I've been a part of it. And, you'll never get these guys to admit they're wrong. They may come up with some reason to drop the charges on some technicality where they still look good and save face.
Right.
This is totally ridiculous. I did have one more follow-up question. How does Larry Odding, he's the landowner that Sharon Palmer was using, and he also had a website called Unhealthy Family Farms, which we have a graphic of somewhere, that he then transferred to Aajonus Vonderplanitz. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Larry Odding is the guy who got the loan and had the farm land put in his name. So he's the title owner of the land, and he had good credit so he could get the loan. He then, in 2010, he then posted this website, Unhealthy Family Farm, that posted these lab tests that then disparaged Sharon Palmer and accused her of having arsenic in her chickens and so on. Well, there was a lawsuit over this, and it went to mediation. In the mediation, Larry Odding agreed, and we have it in writing, and this has been posted. He agreed to take down the website and to stop interfering with Sharon's investors. So that the website came down, but only briefly. Within a couple of weeks, it had gone right back up, and now it was transferred into the name of none other than Aajonus Vonderplanitz, the guy with the phony diploma, PhD.
PhD, nutritionist is what they call him.
Yeah, a doctor in nutrition, really, if you can believe that. So that's the story behind that. But hey, Rob, I got something else for you. Have you seen this? Time magazine has a new cover, How to Die.
Oh, it's all in communist red, too. How fitting.
Oh, yeah, commie red, man. How to Die. This is like eugenics in your face. Wow. I was at the grocery store. I saw this. I had to pick it up. It's not even caged in anything now. It's just you read this, die.
How to die. How to die, yeah. You stupid slave scum.
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness.
And it should have, if it were actually an instruction manual on how to die, it should say, take more vaccines, drink more fluoride, drink more aspartame, follow everything that the mainstream media tells you to do.
Watch more TV.
Yeah, and take the drugs that your doctor prescribes to you. You'll be dead in no time. So Time Magazine, How to Die, the special Kevorkian issue
Wow.
of Time magazine. There you go.
They've definitely won up the case to kill Granny. That is just out of control. Well, Mike, you got more articles coming out on this. Maybe an update on Friday or something about this, because this looks like this is a case that, you know, you said to me this morning. You said not a lot of people have taken interest in this. Well, you better take interest in your food, because that's where this is going. They're going to use this to come after your food, come after the food that you want to eat, the healthy food that we all know is healthy, and maybe other people don't, but still, you got to give people their right to choose what they want to put in their bodies on all levels, as far as I'm concerned.
You bet, man. Hey, thanks for having me on, Rob. Good to join you on InfoWars Nightly News.
All right, we appreciate that, Mike. All right, that was Mike Adams from Natural News. He's become the WikiLeaks of the raw milk industry.